To Polymer Clay TV. I'm Kira, and today I'm going to show you how to make this really cool floating candle holder. And this is a tea light, and it's a little floating flower. And you can use regular wax tea lights or the kind that are battery powered. So they're usually about the same size, and look how cute and snug that fits in there, and it'll float gently on water, or you can even put it in a potted plant or a punch bowl. You can throw it in a fountain, in your pool. Summer is coming, and this is a great way to liven up your party. And it's so easy to make using our scallop cutters, so I used 3 of them in this project. But come along, join the fun. Let me show you how to make this right now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're not a subscriber, and to get onto our e-zine, because usually when we get new cutters in, we have some kind of a celebration. So let's get started. So here we have what you're going to need for this project. This is called Sculpey Ultra Light, and it is a soft, cloudy, marshmallowy kind of a clay. So you're going to need some of this, and this is our kaleidoscope cutter set, one of the flowers from it, a tea light, the fancy scallops set of cutters from Polymer Clay TV, and then I just mixed a little bit of Sculpey Souffle in the pistachio color with a little bit of ultralight. The first thing I'm going to do is make the base for this candle holder. So I've got my flower, and I've got, this is a little bit of the ultralight mixed with about 1/4 souffle. And Sculpey says that you can mix ultralight, which is just a white clay, up to 1/2 with any other color, and it will still float. So it still sort of retains its properties. So I'm going to roll this to a number 2, which is the second thickest setting on my pasta machine. And you might have to play around a little bit to see what the best setting is for you. And because it's summer and it's warm where I am going to use a release, because this cookie cutter or clay cutter is kind of like a press, and it doesn't have a plunge out, it's just one piece. So if I don't use a release, I run the risk of getting my piece of clay stuck in here. So I like to use this Armor All silicone spray. It's for cars, but I'm just gonna lightly spray it on the clay and move that around, and then stamp my clay, give it a little twist. So you can see, and I'm so sorry, my camera cut out right while I was pulling that out, but basically as long as you use the release, you will be able to get the clay right out of there. And I did it on the tile so that I wouldn't have to remove this piece, which is, yeah, it could be flimsy, you know, because it's got the spaces in between the petals. So I didn't want to have to pull it off. I'm going to bake it right on there. And then I'm just going to pat the silicone gently off the surface, wipe it a little bit, and it'll be fine. So now I've got to prep my ultralight. Now, ultralight only comes in white, and it's a big solid brick, but it's pretty marshmallowy straight out of the package. It is prone to needing to be conditioned a lot to get a nice smooth sheet, only because it doesn't really want to stick to itself very easily. You can see here that it's like any place where it's cracked, it's not really stuck to itself. So you've got to work this clay, and it really responds well to the heat of your hands and to pressure. So you just kind of press on it and mush it, and then I'm going to roll it in my pasta machine. Here's where we'll have a little fun. So I've got my 3 cutters, and these are from the Fancy Scallops set on Polymer Clay TV. So I'm going to cut my clay pretty easily with these. These don't require a release. With this, with the straight up ultralight, it's going to come right out. You're not going to need any kind of release. If you're using Primo, you might want to spray a little water. Like with a stickier clay, you might want to spray a little water on here, but with this clay doesn't stick on its own to very much. It's just so powdery feeling. So I'm making some edge pieces. And then I've got to decide how long they need to be, and for that I'm going to be using my tea light as a guide. So this thickest one is going to be my outer petal. And then I've got this one, which I think this one might be my second petal. So I'll cut it here. And then this one will be my first petal. So this one I want to try to make it as even as possible, because I'm not going to do much except just wrap it right around this light. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right here, and then I'm going to introduce a little color. So I've got some powdered pigments. These are Pearl-Ex. This is Brilliant Yellow. So I'm just going to use a soft brush. Tap a little color and brush it along the upper petal. Just a little bit. Pearl-Ex will go a long way if you're careful with it. So now I'm going to position my tea light on here. And I'm just going to wrap this around and stick it together and cut off the excess. And right now I don't really care that it's all pointing upward. Right, then I'm going to do the next level, and I'm going to use pink. And this time, as I go around, I might give it a little stretch, because I want it to overlap just a tiny bit so I can press them together. And then I've got my last layer, which is going to be straight white. And I'm just going to stretch it a little because I know it's not long enough, because now it's a little thicker than it was before. But this clay is very stretchy. And then I'm going to chop off the extra. And now I'm going to go ahead and use a tool to gently sort of bend my petals out. A tool and my finger. And you can do whatever you like. If you want to do a little detailing on the edges, give them a little ruffle. This is just a regular sculpture tool that has this flat spoon shape and the point on the other end. Make sure the petals are where you want them to be, pointed outward. You don't want any of them to be sort of sticking straight up because you don't want them to get too near the flame, especially if you're going to use a real tea light. And then I'm going to take this whole thing and put it into the oven to bake it. I'm going to take this out. You don't want to ever put a real tea light in the oven like that because wax is flammable. So you don't want to bake it with the tea light in it. But you can see here that all my clay is touching the bottom, and I've got what's going to be a floating tea light, and it'll float because of the clay.